The Pennsylvanian is an Amtrak route that runs from Pittsburgh to New York through Harrisburg and Philadelphia.
We traveled the whole route through the beautiful countryside of Pennsylvania, so now we're here to tell you what to expect on the train and some of the sights you'll see along the way.
And I'm Adam.
We're the couple behind In the Great Wide, and we traveled on the Pennsylvanian from Pittsburgh to New York during our month-long Amtrak USA Rail Pass adventure across America and back, which started and ended in Los Angeles, California.
We left Pittsburgh around 7:30 a.m. and arrived in New York City around 5 p.m., so it's about a 9.5-hour train ride, which seems pretty long given that it's less than 400 miles, but it's a leisurely ride, not for regularly commuting.
Yeah, and it was a fairly overcast day for most of the day when we were on the train, which made for some really great photos because the sun would sporadically peek out from behind the clouds.
Please excuse any streaks in the train footage, as the train we were riding was extremely filthy from a slight rain pushing the dirt from the top of the train onto the train windows. And unfortunately, there was nothing we could do about it.
Yeah. Regardless, the Pennsylvania countryside is really beautiful.
It is. The Allegheny Mountains, which are part of the Appalachians, are extremely wooded. The abundance of trees make them look more like hills than mountains.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
It was really weird, especially considering that literally a week before that, we were in the Rocky Mountains, where they're definitely mountains.
Yeah, we rode the California Zephyr like a week before that, through the Rocky Mountains.
Colorado and Denver and stuff. Yeah,
and it's a stark contrast, for sure.
Very much so, very much. The world-famous Horseshoe Curve was carved out of the Allegheny Mountains in the early 1850s, opening in 1854. It took 3 years to cut through the granite, a task that most people thought impossible, but they did it anyway. It's now a National Historical Landmark.
Our conductor announced it shortly before we went around it on the train to give everyone a chance to get their cameras ready. But it'll be between the Johnstown and Altoona stations, closer to Altoona, just so you know, so you'll be ready.
Yeah, it bends around a small lake, so it makes for some really pretty vistas. It's really nice.
And on the other side of Horseshoe Curve is the Pennsylvania Dutch country, with a large population of Old Order Amish and Old Order Mennonites who have resisted urbanization amongst their culture.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a beautiful country and somewhere we look forward to visiting now that we have multiple friends who live in Pennsylvania. I actually grew up near an Amish community in Iowa, and actually grew up near a place called Altoona too, which was super weird. But it'd be great to immerse myself back into their culture. There was an Amish community like 30 miles, 20 miles away from where I went to college, and go out and just get some of their baked goods. So good, so tasty.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever experienced that. But pro tip, they will offer a fresh air break in Philadelphia on the Pennsylvanian train, but you should not even bother getting off because it's in a tunnel and it's completely underground, and all you will smell is diesel and exhaust.
Yeah, I actually told the conductor as I was leaving that I was going to go get some fresh air, and he laughed at me. Just straight up laughed.
It's that kind of vibe.
And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, you'll see. And within 10 seconds, I was like, no, there's no way.
Yeah, but leaving the platform isn't a good idea either during the fresh air breaks, because you'll need to be able to hear the all aboard call, so that you don't miss the train leaving again, because they will leave you. Yeah,
and we didn't see hardly any of Philadelphia because you go in under the underground part of it pretty quickly. I saw a little bit of the skyline, but beyond that...
Yeah, you don't get to see a ton of Philadelphia, which was a little disappointing. But shortly after that, you'll cross over the Delaware River, which was famous for the George Washington crossing. It's that painting, right, of George Washington? Yeah.
Crossing the Rubicon, that might actually be a different river. I don't know. But I do know that he went across the Delaware. That was the thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And from there, you'll head into Trenton, New Jersey.
Note, after the stop in Philadelphia, we traveled the rest of the route into New York in reverse.
Yeah.
Meaning that we were facing the opposite direction the train was traveling in.
Yeah.
I think they switched engine cars or something, and then pulled us out of Philadelphia going the wrong way.
the wrong way.
It's not, well, I mean, the wrong way, yeah. I mean, it's just not as, you don't get to see as much stuff coming up, so it's like you're always trying to take pictures as it goes by, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, well, and it can be a problem for some people who deal with severe motion sickness, so just keep that in mind if you are one of those people.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that every time, but my guess is they probably do.
And from there, it's just a short hop to New York City, which also, unfortunately, you do not get great views of because you're traveling north through New Jersey, and then you make a hard right to go under the Hudson River, and you completely miss the skyline, which was really disappointing for me, I'm not gonna lie, because it was my first time going to New York City, and I was super excited to see the skyline, and I didn't get to.
Yeah, it sucks going in that way, but you know, I mean, you end up in New York, so it's not like it's the end of the world. But it'd be nice to see the skyline. Yeah, for sure.
But for the best views, sit on the south side of the train, which if you're going from Pittsburgh to New York City like we were, it is the right side of the train when you are facing forward.
We weren't assigned seats when boarding in Pittsburgh, and we were told we didn't need to check in beforehand other than to give them our checked bag. It was literally just get on the train and then we'll come by.
And we sat in coach, but they also offer business class, although it honestly doesn't get you that much of a bonus from what I can tell, but it costs you like 50% more if you're buying like individual tickets, so you can take your pick on that.
This train is not like the California Zephyr or the Coast Starlight trains that we've already reviewed. It's more of what we call a commuter style train. The main difference is
it's a single deck instead of a double decker train, and it doesn't have an observation car like what we call the leisure trains do, but the restrooms surprisingly are slightly larger on the Pennsylvanian than they were on the California Zephyr or the Coast Starlight, which seems strange to me because you're on those leisure trains for a longer period of time, so you would think the restrooms would be larger.
I think there are larger restrooms on the Pennsylvanian, but there are fewer restrooms. I think that's the deal.
That still just seems really strange to me.
I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree. It seems like you'd want a nice, comfortable restroom when you're on a train for 52 hours, but you know. Yeah. I didn't make the trains, so...
Anyway, this train, the Pennsylvanian, also has Wi-Fi service, but our experience was that it was pretty spotty, but our cell signal was also pretty spotty when we were on the Pennsylvanian, so there's only so much that Amtrak can really do about that.
Similar to the California Zephyr and the Coast Starlight is that the Pennsylvanian does have a cafe car, so you can buy food and drink and things, although the food offerings are different, the way it's set up. They still allow checked luggage. Coach seats are still comfortable with only 2 on either side of the aisle, but they are slightly smaller than the leisure trains. Yeah. It's still big and still comfortable. I mean, it's not...
Definitely still more comfortable than coach on an airline.
Yeah. Yeah. And they are, and it's funny because they are smaller, but they seem to be newer, so they seemed a little nicer. So you kind of get wowed with, ooh, it's nicer vinyl, yay.
And the Pennsylvanian runs daily during the day, both ways, between New York City and Pittsburgh. So the train isn't intended to be used for sleeping like the leisure trains are anyway.
Yeah. If you want to know more details about what you can expect the coach seats to be like, head to the first link in the description to read our blog article.
If you're looking for a way to just get there, then train travel isn't for you, most likely. But if you want to enjoy your travel time instead of just dealing with the airports, Amtrak is a good alternative, especially if you want to make a whole vacation out of using the USA Rail passes like we did.
Having done this route once already, and being in the fall, we saw the stuff we wanted to see. We'd look into flying this route in the future because Phoebe did find some pretty cheap plane tickets. But I think it would be nice for everyone to experience this at least once while the autumn colors are in full bloom because they are very, very pretty.
Yes, it can be quite spectacular if you go at the right time. And we know that New York City is a big tourist destination, but we also strongly suggest you consider visiting Pittsburgh because we had no idea what to expect there, but we ended up having a really good time.
Telling you, man, Pittsburgh it's going to be the new hot destination. We're going to make it happen. Thanks for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and the little alarm bell to see our new videos twice a week.
We'll see you in the Great Wide somewhere.